first, let's get that water boiling and let's go over our supplies. I'm going to be using Pillar of Bliss from Nature's Garden, a digital scale to weigh out my wax and fragrance oils, my handy dandy heat gun, my melting pourer, my package container, my masking tape, and also going to use my funnel to pour the wax. I've also got my gloves, my digital thermometer, my fragrance oil from Candle Science, and my wax mold for singles. And don't forget your stirrer. So first I'm going to place the melting pot on top of the scale, and I'm going to tare it at 0. And I've already done the math behind the scenes. I'm going to need 8.2 ounces of wax. There you have it, 8.2. So by now my water's boiling, and I'm just going to use the double boil method. I'm going to place the pouring pitcher inside of the pot of water. It only needs to touch at the bottom, you know, just a little bit up the side, but it doesn't need to be completely immersed in the water. And I like these because the handles are heat proof. They're not going to get hot, so you're good with transferring it using your hand. While that's melting, I'm going to heat up my funnel. If you don't heat your funnel up, your wax is going to solidify or cool way too fast, and you're not going to be able to pour it into your singles. So you want to just a couple of times before, just warm it up on the inside, warm it up on the outside. I actually did it a couple times. You can't really see it because I edited it out, but just warm it up so when the wax gets in there, it's still in a warm container. And then you can pour it into your molds. Nice and easy. Now I'm only making one batch this time, but if I'm working with several different fragrances, I like to go ahead and label the final product, not to get them confused. Even though I'm only doing one, I just kind of want it to be consistent. Now these little glass bowls I got from Dollar Tree. This is what I use to measure my small amounts of fragrance oil. I'm using banana nut bread from Candle Science, and they have a twist top. So what I did was I invested in these little pouring caps from Amazon, and I got those for pennies. It's pretty hard to pour a little bit of fragrance oil just straight out of the bottle. So that's why I got these pouring caps. There's several different methods you can use, but if you purchase fragrance oil, you know that it's not cheap at all. So you want to minimize any spills or drops or anything. So I'm going to measure out 0.8 ounces of fragrance oil. The entire bag of wax melt is going to be 9 ounces. So that 0.8 ounces of fragrance oil plus 8.2 ounces of wax gives me my 9 ounces. All right, so now my wax is warm. The digital thermometer only takes surface temperature, so before you take that temperature, make sure you give it a nice stir. And then I pour my fragrance oil in at about 185 degrees Fahrenheit. For this particular wax, 185 is a good starting point. Then you just want to stir it consistently. I'm warming up the funnel again. I usually wait till it gets down to about 165 degrees before I pour it. So this, I think I was at maybe 167 because I knew when I transferred the wax into the funnel it would drop a couple of more degrees. And I sped the video up because I'm going to spare you the time that it took to pour every single individual one. I wanted to be very careful this time because I tend to spill it all over the mold. And it just takes a little bit of time to correct it. and there was still some wax left in the melting pot. So I just got my heat gun and melted it down because I wanted to go ahead and make sure I used all the wax and filled up the singles as much as I could. Some of them weren't filled as high as they could be, so I just went through and added some wax and some of the ones that needed to be filled. And you can already see they're beginning to solidify. I didn't use much time lapse on this, so this is almost in real time. As soon as you pour the first one, by the time you get to the last one, the first one is almost completely hardened. Well, not completely hardened, but at least the surface is hardened. And there you have it. There's my first spill, and that always happens. My first one's always the worst, but you can see how quickly they're beginning to solidify. So once I know that those tops are beginning to dry really good, I like to add a layer of wax paper or paraffin paper over the top because I want to keep any kind of dust or debris out, especially when I'm making it for customers and not my personal use. You want to make sure their product is clean. Now that the wax is completely hardened, I kind of pulled the sides taut to loosen it up a little bit. I haven't figured out a perfect method yet, but I just pop them out individually. I get a piece of paraffin paper again and place them on top of there. Again, you don't want your customer's product to be contaminated with anything. So you want to keep it pure, clean, no dirt, debris, dust, nothing. I love these little pouches. I got these from Amazon from another small business owner. I like them because they're not like the traditional wax melts. I still make traditional wax melts, but these ones are a lot larger. You can get 9 ounces inside of that package. And the customer, all they have to do is just open up the bag and pop one inside of their wax melter. They don't have to go in and get it all over their fingers and snap it out of the clamshell. But I still use a clamshell method because not everybody wants 9 ounces of fragrance oil. Sometimes they only want that 2.5 ounces. And there you have it. I'm going to whip up my label and show you the final product.